Hey, here we are back again. I wanted to do something a little different this time. I know tier lists are all the rage. That's what everyone wants. Tier lists, tier lists, tier lists. But what do you need some asshole telling you which 20 champs suck and, you already know that. You already know which champs suck. So I'm gonna try something a little different. I'm gonna share my wealth of knowledge with you, and what I'm going to do is we're going to do each class, top 5 each class, which isn't all that uncommon. But for me, I'm going to kind of stick to out of the box to the average player what my 5 strongest champs are as far as usefulness in all game modes and just how well the average MCOC player can be successful and get use out of them. It's all well and good to say, oh, Ghost is a cheat code, she's broken, but if you can't Ghost, then she's worthless. There's a lot of champs like that in the game, and as a mediocre player, such as myself, I feel that pain. I feel the pain of the average man. I'm very much a man of the people, and so let's spend some time talking about which champs can help you now, immediately. High sig and super amazing thumbs, not necessary. We're not all Mr. Rag, okay? We're not all able to just sleepwalk through tier 2 wars, okay? Some of us need help, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. Let's do this. All right, so let's get started with the mutant class. I'm going to try and keep each class pretty short and sweet, try and keep it about 3 to 4 minutes for each class, because I know you all got, you want to get back into the game, you want to take this information, you want to start dumping resources into these champs, ranking them up, leveling them up, and start just smashing content. So I'll try and be short and sweet, so let's get to it quick, right? So number 5 in the mutant class. Now this is going to be kind of an interesting choice to a lot of people. I put Kitty at number 5. Why is she at number 5? Well, I know that if you know how to use her and she's got the dupe, she's got the high sig, she's probably 1 or 2. I get it. But like I said at the beginning, to me, the average player out of the crystal, good to go. I don't know if she's quite that high, but I do think that she slays content. She's a dual threat champion. She's a pain to fight. She can shred if you know how to use her. And I think she deserves to be in the top 5 regardless. So I just put her on there because I think she deserves it. But again, if you don't know how to get the best out of her, I don't see her being 1 or 2, unless you're a very experienced using a duped kitty. You know what I'm saying. If you know, you know, right? So quickly, let's move on to number 4. Now, number 4, I went around a little bit, but I decided on both Magnetos. That's a kind of a cheat move, I guess, but I couldn't decide which one I wanted to put in the list. I decided that they could identify as they, them. It's 2023. Let them live. And we're going to put red and white in the same group. So I think they both obviously got massive damage potential from red Magneto. We all know that. White Magneto's got a lot of usage, makes your team instantly better. They both have insane ability accuracy reduction on really annoying fights. I think right out of the crystal, dupe or no dupe, they both have a lot of use, and I think they both deserve to be mentioned on the list. So if you get them, be happy, because they're both great. All right, number 3. We're going to do Big Bad Daddy Apocalypse. Arguably could go higher for sure, but when you don't factor in his horseman ability, I think that just by himself, he probably could be higher, but to me, like I said, I'm trying to look at each champ on their own as best I can and kind of rank it in the order of how easy they are to play, like how accessible they are, and how much they really need the dupe and all that stuff. So I think settling in at 3 is pretty fair for Apocalypse. Argument could be made for 2 or 1, but I like him right there. The other stuff's great, but in the way the game is going with all the debuffs out there, he's a pain to fight, great for battlegrounds, can be used on offense, defense. I mean, he's just a great champ. We all know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So let's quickly move on to numero dos. I got Archangel at number 2. And I really, really think that as much as people know how great he is, I still don't think he gets the love he deserves. I hear a lot of people, oh, well, he really needs the dupe to be God tier. I don't know that that's really true. I mean, the dupe just makes him so much more useful, obviously, but there's a ton of champions in the game that people overlook utility for pure damage. And when it comes to just melting champs, if they can bleed, he's your best bet. So I don't really get it. Plus, he's a badass. He's got really cool hair and shiny wings. So if you're looking for more than that, then I don't know, man, uninstall, because he's just great. All right. And finally, number 1, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? I think you all know the answer to this. Who is the best? Who beats up all the other mutants? It's Hulkbuster. Some people are going to be like, oh, well, he's not a mutant. It doesn't matter, because he's better than mutants. He is just better than them. The mutants, when they see him coming, they run. They're scared. They don't want any of that. Look at that motherfucker. He doesn't care that he's not a mutant. He's going to come in and he's going to do his shit. So if you get him, then congratulations. You already beat all the other mutants. So let's go to the next class. Well, I know how controversial that was, that last pick in the mutant class. We're going to move on to an even more controversial category, and that's going to be science. So, all jokes aside, science is actually a pretty strong class. A lot of people down at the bottom, a lot of worthless champs. I get it, but I think buffs are coming to some of them, and you're going to see the class get even stronger. But it's really top heavy. There's a lot of really great damage champs, a lot of really great utility champs. This is a really hard one for me to rank. A couple honorable mentions, people I didn't put Spot in, even though I've heard incredible things about Spot. I still think a nice full season with him in the basics, in the books, will open a lot of people's eyes to him, myself included. I didn't want to talk about a guy I didn't know too well. Also, people like Human Torch, One Trick Pony, he does great things, but I didn't really think he should be in the top 5 after discussing with my hype man Trevor. So hopefully you all agree with these ones. If not, hopefully they open your eyes to some champs you might not have actually thought of before. So let's get to it. That being said, in science, we've got number 5. I went ahead and put a newbie in, someone that does a lot of great things. I cut her head off in the picture because we all know the thighs are the important part of Titania. That's not sexist. That's just her thighs. They're great. I mean, I'll put Hercules on there if I could find a picture of his crotch too, but I couldn't find one. Plus, he's not science. It wouldn't make sense. But anyway, Titania, yes. If you know what you're doing with her, she can just destroy, crush everything in her path. She's the kind of person you'd love to wake up with her heel on the back of your neck. So I put her at 5 because I do think that she's not the easiest to, for the average player to get the hang of right off the rip. But once you do, you love her. In that same vein, someone who needs a little bit of practice but can do things that I've never seen any other champ in the game do is Joe Flexit. This guy, after his buff in the hands of the right player, can do things that no other champ can do. In war and battlegrounds all across the game, he's just, unrivaled in his damage potential and his utility. So if you're interested in seeing that, go check out Mr. Rag. He's got a lot of Flexit videos, and he will show you things you never thought were possible. Numero Tree. Okay, this is an obvious one, right? Scorpion. He's got to be on here. He's, again, another newer champ, but we all know he's a pain in the ass. He's got a lot of great abilities, got a lot of great immunities, and he can melt champs with the best of them, especially Mystic champs. So get on the Scorpion train and throw your resources at him if you haven't already done that. Number 2. This was tough not to put him at number 1. Captain Beardo. Captain America Infinity War. Now, one of the older champs on the list, obviously, but every time there's just like a really annoying fight, especially as you progress through the game, Act 6, Act 7, whatever, it's always like, what's the answer? A lot of times it's Captain America Infinity War. I mean, he just does so much things. He has so much versatility with his synergies. You don't need any specific champ. His synergies are class-based, so you don't need to pull this, random person just to make him amazing. So he does so many things so well, and even if you're not trying to do stuff to the opponent, you'll find yourself just winning fights based on his damage and block proficiency alone. So I think if you don't have him by now, then you're missing. I don't have him as a 6-star. I hate my life, but he is great. And if you got him, he's worth everything you can put into him. It's not even a question. Number 1, Science. Man, so many choices, so many great champions. But I got to admit, I got a soft spot for this guy. He's a little-known champ. It's Hambuster. Hambuster is incredible, amazing. He can, do all sorts of stuff that the other Science champs can't do, or Tech champs. He's kind of a hybrid. But HB Hambuster, that's the go-to right there. And if you can pull him, then you got it going on. So there's your Science class. Let's get on to the next. Look where we are. We're already to the Mystic class. Oh, my goodness gracious. We're flying now, aren't we? Mystic class. Another great class. More utility in this class than almost any other, probably. When it really comes down to it. With the nullifies and the staggers and the healing and the frickin' damage output, power control. My goodness gracious. So, number 5, we're going to go with Diablo. This guy's got sustainability like crazy, decent damage, especially if you can poison him. Doesn't really take a rocket scientist to play him, and he's just solid all around. I mean, you can take him into damn near any fight, and you can make something happen. It's really hard to say anything bad about the guy. Ever since he got buffed up, which he deserved. Number 4. Now, if you know how to play this one, she might be number 1. But Tigra she's just a god, if you know what you're doing. But even if you don't, her basic damage and her that she can put out is just, it rivals just about any other champion. You don't even need a rotation, really. If you know her rotations and you get the heavy counters down and you can get the spacing down, she's a class above everyone else, really, in her own league. But even without knowing that, she's got a lot of uses, and she's fun to play. And that's the most important thing, really, is the game should be fun, right? So I put her up there at number 4. Number 3, I've made no secrets of my love for Claire. She's got so many uses. She seems complicated when you first get her, but once you learn how to cycle through her phases, she's about as easy as anyone. Her dupe doesn't do shit for her. She doesn't really need it at all. So if you pull out of the crystal, you got God tier right there, and whatever you got, gold, cats, ISO, just give it to her. Just feed her. She'll do so many things for you. She's so great. I've always been a big Claire lover. She's just great. Number 2, who else but Dr. Doom? There's nothing to say. If you play the game, you know Dr. Doom. You know everything he does. And if you got him as a 6-star, then you can pretty much clear, in between him and Hercules, you can pretty much clear anything in the game with those two. But there he is. And it's a pretty good list so far. God, Mystic was a lot more stacked than I really thought going into it. But there's new Mystic champs. There's a lot of people. This one, that's going to be Hulkbuster Supreme. I don't know if you guys have used him yet. He's great, amazing, obviously. I had to grind Arena for mine, but Hulkbuster Supreme, whew, man, that guy, he's just throwing bodies left and right with the flick of his wrist. He doesn't even have to touch them. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. So there's my top 5 Mystic. I hope that helps you advance your roster. And let's go ahead and move on to the next one.